Jennifer.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to the podcast.
I love it.
The conversation.
Yes.
Yes. Maybe this is it. The conversation with Volchek.
Yes.
Perhaps
I love
that's
that.
The project name.
Yes.
You know, when in Hollywood they write a movie, sometimes they don't list the name of the movie. It's just,
Just get right into it.
No, it's like a secret movie. It's like if they're filming Transformers 3, they don't want other background actors to know that it's Transformers 3, for example. So they're going to name it, Blueberry Juice or whatever.
All right.
So it's it's like a working title.
Okay. It's a working title.
Yeah, the conversation with Volchek. So thank you. Thank you for being the guest.
Thanks for having me.
Excellent. I love your enthusiasm. So you were telling me before we came to having you on the show, it all started on Facebook.
Yes.
Like a lot of great things have happened.
A lot of great things happen on Facebook. And if it's not Facebooked, it's in it happened.
Right.
So
right. This is going on Facebook, by the way.
All right.
Perfect. So you were telling me something about housing.
Right. So the post that I had put on Facebook was, what is affordable housing to you? What does that look like?
Right.
And depending on the year that you have moved the Flagler, how has Flagler evolved since you have been here?
And I think I tagged you in my friend's post who had like an article about these houses that are put together within a day. They're like $33,000.
You can order them on Amazon.
Right.
Flagler County is not going to allow that to happen. So I did appreciate that. And I did read it. And let me go back just a little bit. So I work for Family Life Center, nonprofit organization, helping victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. My role there is the economic justice advocate. Okay. So I help with the moving forward process for our victims. I job place them. I say this lightly, affordable housing, but really we don't have affordable housing. I help with resume writing, credit repair, anything and everything to make them successful, to not have to go back to their abuser. My home was built through Habitat for Humanity. I've had it for almost 10 years. So I myself, it's in Palm Coast, Seminole Woods. So I myself have had affordable housing for a very long time and did not realize that we were in such crisis with this, right? So it started just by me going out and trying to find housing for my survivors. And just the roadblocks bedrooms going for $800, if not more. I couldn't even believe it. I was
LA
like, a bedroom, $800.
It's nuts.
It's crazy. Efficiency apartments, $1,000 a month, $1,100. I'm like, I can't, there's no way. If I had that kind of rent or mortgage, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah.
Raising 4 kids, even if I was raising one, even if I was on my own, like I wouldn't be able to do that.
Right.
In our county, we don't have any high paying jobs unless you're working for the hospital, the courthouse, if you're a first responder, if you're working for the school board.
Right.
So
it's either government or healthcare.
Right. Exactly.
I think everyone else really commutes.
They do.
Right. And I think that's what attracts people to Palm Coast, is that it's cheaper than Jacksonville or St. Augustine or Daytona. And it's, for lack of better words, it's more like a Pleasantville, because if you go to Daytona, it can be a little bit sketchy there, for that same price range. But you can come here and buy a house for that price range and actually enjoy a pretty nice neighborhood, so to speak.
Right.
Right. Raise a family. It's pretty nice.
So right. And I get that. But what is happening is, and that's the evolution of Flagler County, right? These families coming, wanting to raise their children, really wanting to root themselves into Flagler County.
Right.
When, let's be honest, Flagler County was named a county in 1917. That's a really, really long time ago, right? So it was named after Henry Flagler. He started the railroad.
Right.
And so in the history of Flagler County, this was a county that was like on the up and up, like all the fresh things, great place to raise your family. And this was 1917.
Right.
Okay. So Palm Coast comes along. The C section and the F section are the first sections that are built. They're built in the late 70s, early 80s.
Right.
That was meant for the retirement community.
Right.
So this is my question. Retired individuals are on a fixed income. Right or wrong? They're on a fixed income. So was that their way of creating affordable housing for the 64 and up, 65 and up, whatever that retired,
Right.
not to sound, whatever, but that retired age might
Right,
be.
right.
That was their way of bringing
Right.
affordable housing, right?
What was the seed of
What was
the
the
idea
seed
of the ITT,
idea?
right?
Exactly.
ITT did that, right?
Exactly. And that's what I'm trying, what was the idea behind this retirement community in the
Right,
C
right.
section and the F section? And why are we having such a hard time bringing it for the young working, the people from 18 to
Right.
64, basically,
Right. Well, I think what's happening is that there's no people are leaving, right? I graduated from Palm Coast High School, and I was like, man, I got to get out of here.
because there aren't jobs.
Right.
There aren't any jobs here. So what is the enticement for you to want to stay here? What is the enticement for you to want to build your house here and raise your children here?
Yeah. Well, not only that, like it's kind of like can maybe catch 22, right? There's not enough high paying jobs, but at the same time, it's like maybe we don't need high paying jobs if we had affordable housing. Right.
Right.
So it's like people wouldn't be leaving maybe to LA,
And they're obviously figuring it out. They have to be figuring it out for the workforce affordable housing that's going up in Town Center. And you have one that has 84 units. The other one has 240 something units.
Right. And the rent is actually pretty cool. I think it's like it starts at $750.
Okay. So 750. Let's talk about that for a second. That workforce housing was built for our first responders and for the teachers.
You're talking about the Town Center?
Yes. So the school board, Flagler County School Board, they employ 80% of our citizens here. That's the tally. 80% of our residents here in Flagler County work for the school board.
What do you mean 80%?
Of our population that are here
Like a
in
working
Flagler
population
County.
or some kind of age range?
So like our working population, 80%
working
of that,
population.
yes, work for the Flagler County School Board.
It's
employ
huge.
80% of our residents here in Flagler County.
Wow.
Now you can figure that the rest of that 20% living in county, and then that rest of the 20% is going to be your first responders, retail workers, so on and so forth.
Right.
They're paying anywhere from 55 to 70% of their earnings on their rent, their mortgage. Affordable housing is that you spend no more than 30% of your income on affordable housing.
Right.
So they're able to make these units at $750 a month. That is affordable housing to what they're making.
Right.
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 Now, how are we able to build those to be affordable like that?
Like more affordable.
More affordable. Because from what I understand, every unit in the apartment has impact fees.
What does that mean?
So your impact fees is the money that you spend before that concrete slab is even poured for your house. It's everything underneath.
Now, who's spending it?
You're spending it as the homeowner. So before your house, before that slab, that concrete slab is even poured, you're already $17,000 invested.
Right. Impact fees.
Okay.
Right.
So your impact fees.
I was thinking of those units, but you're just talking about just
each
house
unit
and everything.
has an impact fee.
Right. Each unit?
Yes. So how are we able to make those affordable when you break it down to 84 units times, $17,000?
Is it the same impact fee as a house?
I'm not sure how much the impact fee is for the apartment.
That's a good question. Okay.
It's a really good question to dig deeper in, but houses estimate at $17,000 before that cement slab is poured.
Wow.
So when you think about the debt,
didn't the whole idea of ITT was to design like the community so that there's a road, there's plumbing, there's everything. You just put a house on top of it.
Right. But, you're paying for all of that stuff underneath your house. So it's...
But it's already there.
Right?
What's going on?
I know. I don't know. I guess that's how they get their money back for putting it there,
Perhaps, right.
But I know that Bunnell is in the talks of eliminating their impact fees, changing codes, building permit, Updating.
Right.
We not everybody needs 5-bedroom houses. Not everybody needs 2-car garages. Not everybody needs 2.5 baths, 3 bathrooms.
In fact, I think this is one of the issues I think we have with housing is that we're so comfortable just producing single family units. Every layout is a family layout, whether it's a 1 bedroom or 2
master bedroom to the left, 3 bedrooms and a bathroom to the right. Like, yes,
it's nothing. There's no housing for like single people.
Right.
It's like, all right, here we are, culture of individualism,
Yeah.
It's a very important part of American culture is individuality.
Big time.
But there's no housing that caters to that.
Right.
So now you have to have roommates that live in a single family apartment or a house or a layout.
Yep.
There's not really a layout. It comes to developers. If I can take pictures, right? I'm taking pictures of like an event here, event A that pays me $100.
Right.
And I'm going to spend or there's an event B that pays me $500. It's the same. I'm doing the same thing.
Yes.
I'm going to go do over here for $500, obviously. And I think that's the story with developers. It costs the same manpower to build an affordable housing or a luxury housing. Maybe there's marginal difference in maybe the quality of the wood that you're using, perhaps. But it's really the same thing. And you're going to get so much more money.
Right.
It's the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to develop all these luxury apartments, and I'm going to get all this higher-priced people come in and pay for them. And I think, like in LA and other urban areas, there are so many empty luxury units because of those developers thinking like that. Nobody,
and then it sits there empty, and no one's benefiting.
Right.
It's like,
but the thing is, it's like even if the developer goes bankrupt, who cares? It's not. Like, it's not the worst thing for a person who is developer.
Right.
It's like, all right, yeah, my company went bankrupt. Too bad. But they're still going to be driving their Beamer,
Yeah, they're still going to be doing, exactly.
There's just not enough incentive to develop
and there's
these
also
affordable
a lot
housings.
of like fluff, stainless steel appliances, granite top, countertops. And when you're putting that quality into your house, of course you need to make your money back for that, right?
Yeah.
We don't have to do that, like we don't have to do that.
Right. There's not, it's not a necessity,
right.
Which is fine. If you want to do that, that's fine. But there's people, here's the thing. When I was in Long Beach and somebody asked me this question, I don't remember what the question was exactly. But even like how I answered it, I was like, oh man, that's an interesting way that I came up with it. Because in Long Beach, which is right between LA and Orange County.
Okay.
For some reason, somehow, they have a very unique culture there. It's very different from LA, very different from Orange County. And people in LA don't think of Long Beach of anything. And so they're kind of like an appendix of LA County. And the culture had become its own. And statistically speaking, they have the highest youth retention, which in my eyes, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense because I was driving Uber at some point when I was in LA. And every time I'm driving Uber in LA, the most popular question to break the ice, where are you from?
Right.
So people are like, oh, I'm from this place, I'm from this place, I'm from that place. But when I drive Uber in Long Beach, where are you from? I'm from Long Beach. Where are you from? I'm from Long Beach. So the youth retention impacts the culture. So somebody asked me, I think, what could like Palm Coast do for their economy or of some sort? I think that was the kind of like the nature of the question. And I was like, if Palm Coast or small towns like Palm Coast would really concentrate on youth retention, then you would see, I think, an economy booming. So if you have, somebody at 18 who are graduating from high school, well, obviously they want to move away from their parents, right? That's what you do. It's either you go to college, or you move away from parents somehow, or you continue living with parents, but you're not developing as an individual, which is very important because we live in America, and that's the American value in an individual,
right?
So, but you can't really cater to that because now you're stuck with a single family layout and like 800, 700. If you're lucky, 700, usually.
If you're lucky, right? Yes.
European village starts at
Hello,
$900.
I know. And then it's like 3 times the income, and they want first, last, and security. I'm like, who in this county makes 3 times that income a month?
Especially a
Let's
kid
be
right out of high
honest.
school.
Who makes that kind of money?
Yeah.
You know?
It's
Tough. It
is
is
tough.
definitely a tough situation.
So what is the solution?
So I have been working on, I actually go March 31st in front of, in the courthouse. I'm working on it, you know, but I'm trying to get the Affordable Housing Act changed.
Is this a local act or is this a national act?
It's state
Act? Okay.
Yeah. So, landlord can discriminate as to who he or she wants to rent their place to. So I'm just trying to change what that looks like.
I mean, does it actually say that, or there's like a really pretty language around?
Really pretty language around that.
I'm sure it doesn't say, hey, you can discriminate if you do this, this, and this.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's not what it says.
Right.
But essentially, there's ways to discriminate.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. Like, there's a loophole in everything in life, right? Okay. Yeah. So,
you can do it.
So I have been working on a census as far as taking it back 30 years to present. And again, just trying to show the evolution of Flagler County.
Okay.
I went to FPC as well. And when I went to FPC in 2002, nobody was from Florida. I mean, there were a few, like a handful that were from Florida, but like the kids, right?
Florida.
But you weren't from Florida. Everyone was from somewhere, right? And as time has gone on, now, right, I have children that are in school.
Right.
Most of those children in those classes have been born here in Florida. I'm not born here in Florida. All 4 of my children were born here in Florida. And this is where we have stayed. This is where I have rooted, right?
Right.
So we're no longer having, yes, we have people moving here from out of, right? But we have people wanting to stay here and like wanting to root here, right?
Right.
So that whole picture has changed. We have 2 high schools now, right?
Yes.
2006, Belterre was brought here. 2008, Matanzas was brought here. I can go on down the list,
Belterre is a high school?
Belterre is an elementary school.
Okay.
But it's over there. Indian Trails was the elementary school. Right. They built Belterre, and then they turned the Indian Trails into the middle school, and Belterre is the elementary school.
Okay.
But what I'm trying to say is that we have grown. Just in it's a different situation. Just from 2000 and we'll say 2005 to 2010, just to keep it simple.
Right.
Schools, high schools, new elementary schools. We've got Rimfire Elementary School. I can just go down the list.
Right.
It's no longer 1 middle school, 1 high school, and 2 elementary schools.
You are kind of talking about youth retention.
Big time.
And it's kind of happening on its own.
Because I have my own children.
Right.
And I'm so passionate about this because, I don't want my children to feel like they have to go move,
that's how I felt.
So far away from me, from here. I want for them to, we've lived here their whole life. I would like for them to, family is very important to me. I want there to be more here for them, for my future grandchildren, for their children. It's a bigger picture for me.
Right.
So, I never thought this would be my passion, but it has definitely turned into my passion. I've learned a lot this past year just in housing.
Wow.
I didn't know what an impact fee was or what but I'm learning and I'm trying
I
to.
wonder if you can bring these young kids that are like seniors in high school to say, hey, like what would keep you here?
I think that is amazing. If I could get some sort of like a survey.
Yeah.
Put a survey together and get those out. Yeah.
Or, I'm imagining, as far as housing solution for people who are just fresh out of high school, thinking about, they want to get out of a family situation where they want to explore being an individual. And I don't think they need all the hoopla that a family would need. Even like a single bedroom layout is still has family in mind, a young family. But if I'm a single guy, bachelor as bachelors can be, right? I don't really need, if it's like in the context of a complex, it's like the laundry room has its own place, right? There's no laundry rooms in each apartment, right? So you can probably take out the kitchen the same way. You can probably take out like a living room the same way.
Yeah.
You can have like maybe a room where you can hang out with your guests, but you can have like, think about like luxury apartments, right? Or luxury gated communities. They have a clubhouse. They have all this stuff centralized, right?
All the amenities.
So you can have like an amenity room per complex. You can take out the kitchen and have like a group kitchen.
I think that's amazing.
And that would be great because then all these single people are mingling, eating together, and then when they have to go sleep. Essentially, when you're young, you just want somewhere safe to sleep. Consistent place.
A consistent place to sleep that you can afford.
And it doesn't have to be big.
Right.
It doesn't have to be big.
And not in some super scary, crummy neighborhood.
Right.
So
this blew my mind. When I was looking for places, I was like, all right, the same way I came across my car. Earlier we were talking about The Secret and all that. So it's kind of like law of attraction. I was like, all right, I don't have money right now for the car, but I'm just going to start shopping for the car,
Yeah.
And then eventually like, okay, I got the car, and I got the money, I got the car.
And
like,
then the
perfect,
car was
right.
there, yes.
So then I was like, all right, I did that with a car. I'm going to do the same thing with getting a place. So I had a budget in mind. I didn't have the money for it. I had to come up with, the down payment and the whole thing. And then I was like, all right, well, let's see what's around here. And I was just going different places. Ormond, like about $750, $850 was my budget. And then, by the way, in LA, my last place where I lived in LA was in like a house, 4-bedroom house.
Okay.
There was maybe 6 people living in it.
Okay.
I paid $550 for a room in LA, in Long Beach.
Yeah.
I haven't paid more than $700 in LA, maybe once. So, it's really crazy how prices here are the same as LA.
Though? It's crazy.
It's nuts. But here's what's even more nuts. I came across an apartment here in Bunnell, and it said $850. And I was like, all right, let's see what $850 gets me in Bunnell. There was one window, and you go into it. There's no living room. You just open the door right into the kitchen, and there's a little hallway past the kitchen. To the right, there's a bathroom with a shower, and then straight ahead is just one bedroom. No windows. It's no windows. $850. I was shocked. I was like, oh my God. But from what I understand, it's $850 because the person who's going to live there is not paying for it. It's the government's going to pay for it. Do you see what I'm saying?
So they are Section 8,
right?
Right. Okay.
Right. So the landlord is like, hey, who cares? I'm just going to charge the most amount of money because it's not going to hurt this guy because he's just going to get his money from the government and give me the money.
So let's talk about that very quickly.
That's crazy.
So vouchers, that would be vouchers. We don't have any more of those. Like we're on a waiting list from 2017. It's crazy. So these landlords that think that way, it goes back to your fruit, the low-hanging fruit. Right. You think that you're going to get someone in there that the government is going to pay for. But if there's no vouchers for that.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be
You're
vacant.
screwing yourself because you could lower it $250 and have someone in there. Even if it was $600,
right?
Even that's a little too much for the one bedroom, one window place. But even lower it $250.
Yeah, something more accessible. Yeah,
because I promise you haven't always had it listed as $850. I'm sure there was a point in time where you were okay with $400 a month. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So lower it, get someone in there, and get some money in your pocket.
It's crazy. Housing is crazy. I think you always hear the word housing in the context of affordability, right? For the poor folks who can't afford something.
And that's where everyone's mind goes.
Real estate, when it's real estate, it's a family, it's the high credit score, right? It's the person who's trying to get out of a bad situation,
Yeah.
And that's great. But it's Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Right? The safety and security and shelter is that baseline need, which a lot of people don't have access to. That's crazy.
It's crazy because it's not something you can't like you can't live with that without
People
it.
think it's
you know?
luxury, you know?
Yes, they think it's like some luxury. Like everyone is entitled to safe, affordable housing.
I think so, yeah.
Every single person is entitled to that.
Especially if we have values such as like individuality
Yes.
and, you know, like, or
After all, this
working
is America.
hard.
Yes.
How can you work hard if you don't have a secure place to call home?
Right.
You know, it's
Right.
It's catch-22.
And what is that
crazy.
doing to our kids too? What does it do whenever you are a child living in a house with 13 other people because you're not comfortable, you know? It's such a domino effect is what it is, you know?
Now let's talk a little bit about the, you said Habitat for Humanity is
Yes.
a nonprofit organization. Is there other nonprofit organization, or this is it? This is the only nonprofit? And would you classify it as they are developers of some sort?
Okay.
Because I think that would be a good solution, right? Like,
Right.
you can have, if other developers are for profit and it makes sense for them to, like I said, hey, you know, if I'm going to take pictures of, if I'm going to do the same thing for party A and for party B, and party A is going to pay me $100, party B is going to pay me $500, I'm going to go into the $500 party.
So President Carter is who started Habitat for Humanity.
Really?
Yes.
And
Isn't
he
that
still,
awesome?
knocking
Yes,
the,
he
wow.
is. I mean, black-eyed and everything. He had surgery and he was like 3 days later building houses.
I've
He's
seen
amazing.
him build. I didn't know that he's the one who started it.
Yes.
Wow.
Habitat for Humanity is national. When I had my house built, some of the doors that were painted were sent to Haiti because Habitat was building a house in Haiti. So Habitat is, I can't speak enough of Habitat, right?
Changed your life.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
And it also allowed me to better myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. It's
I
that,
mean, it's
that
even
bottom
that.
hierarchy of
It
needs.
is.
When you have that covered, now you can work towards, because the top is self-actualization.
Right.
A lot of people say, hey, you know, you got to go and earn money. Well,
Right.
yeah, but you can't earn money if you haven't actualized yourself.
Exactly.
So it's a catch-22. People are thinking weird.
Right.
But go ahead.
No, I would, it is so well put together, you know, and they have everything from what it seems to me figured out that I just don't know why we can't expand that and make that affordable housing, right? Your houses are built by volunteers. You know, I put 500 hours into sweat equity of helping build other people's homes, and then put 175 into my own home, and then everyone else who
Right.
they volunteered
It's
on
like
my
it takes
house.
a village, right? It's,
Right.
it's that village experience.
It is. It is. And it does take a village, but you know, it's basic.
Right.
It's wood on a concrete slab. You know, it has everything that I need.
Hey, it's a secure
and
shelter,
it is a
right?
secure shelter for not only me, but my children.
Right.
You know, and it definitely
and it gives you
is.
that baseline to operate from, where that's taken care of. Now you can operate. Now you can actually be
it's
you.
not a worry for me.
Right.
And I realize, without getting sappy, but I just realize how blessed and what a blessing my house truly is, especially within this past year of working with families and individuals who do not have that, you know, luxury, which I use that word lightly because housing shouldn't be a luxury.
Right. It's just, I think that's what it is it's not a housing problem. It's a marketplace problem.
It is.
There's a demand that is not researched. I took a whole bunch of classes in junior college, and one of them was marketing. I was like, you know, out of all the things, I think this is the most creative thing that I could do in business. You know, I took accounting, I took, management class and blah, blah, and one of them was marketing class. And I was like, marketing is pretty creative.
Yeah.
But that took me on a crazy journey. But then I started understanding the marketplace, and I was like, man, this is how America operates, because America is a marketplace.
Yes.
Right. So the whole housing is a marketplace issue because like I said, we're continuing doing things as previously we were doing. Right. It's a low hanging fruit. Hey, you know, a single family layout worked 30 years ago. It's working now. But nobody is there researching what that new generation needs and wants.
Right.
We're just producing more of the same thing and telling them, hey, you know, like this is the house that we built for you. You know, nobody's asking them, what do you want?
Right.
And I have a feeling what they want is very simple thing: somewhere to come home at night or towards the end of the evening after work, a place simple, very simple. You know, you don't need a huge kitchen. You don't need a huge living room. You don't need.
I think that is, and not that I think, and I hate to say I know, but that it's a huge problem.
Yeah,
it really is. Just in this, we could even go on just a completely different tangent of global and our planet and so on and so forth. But we have forgotten how to live simplicity, like simply, you know.
We're always chasing something more,
chasing something more.
Yeah, because we're not enough. You know.
When are we just going to be happy?
Yeah, maybe it comes down to happiness,
when is the
right?
chase? Like, when does the chase? I know we're always chasing and setting goals, and so I get it, right? That's what we're supposed to do.
Growing.
But when
when is it enough?
When is it enough?
Yeah, it's
the bougie, you know, K-Pod, coffee makers, and everything's single use, and everything's you know.
Well, I think it's different if you're at a place where you can afford bougie stuff without hurting yourself. That's one thing. But I think a lot of times what happens is you're buying things you can't afford. You're getting, I mean, think about 2008 housing crash, crash, right?
Yes.
It's that. Oh, I need this house.
I need.
I'm going to say I am
keeping
making
up
this
with
much.
The Joneses.
Yeah,
yes.
that's crazy. It's fine if you can afford a bougie thing,
and that's perfectly fine, right? I think that's great, and we have enough gated communities for that.
Right.
I mean, we do, and that's
nothing
perfect.
wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But if you move into that gated community and you got there by putting too many zeros where they don't belong, you know?
Right.
But people are doing that.
I know.
And they're definitely shooting themselves in the foot.
Big time.
If not higher.
Mm-hmm. Really. Really.
It's nuts.
So
yeah, I think housing is it's a marketplace issue. There's a
big
disconnect.
We haven't even hit the homeless crisis. We're not even talking about that. We're talking about workforce affordable housing.
Right.
And
if there's a bunch of retail workers, right, earning $9 an hour, where are the houses that they can afford?
Those are the ones living in houses with 12, 13, 14 people. You know, they're working three jobs to make ends meet.
How are you supposed to operate as an individual?
They're not home with their kids.
Right.
You know, they're the ones with the lock, you know, the key to the door. And you've got kids raising kids now because the oldest sibling is taking care of the younger sibling so that mom and dad can work, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, as a person who have lived so many times with roommates, with multiple roommates, it's kind of weird dynamic because you're not an individual when you're have to constantly live with another person.
It's communal living. So you have to take in account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And or for lack of a better word, you have to adjust yourself to this person. You know, you have this personality with this person and you have this personality with that person, you know? It's an interesting thing, but you don't belong to yourself and that's weird. So living by yourself is very valuable and I think it's an important part of becoming an individual. You have to experience that.
You really do. You really do.
Otherwise, and I think maybe that's where a lot of mental issue comes from, you know?
I agree with you.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
It's an interesting, it's been an interesting conversation. And I think an important one too.
I think so.
So to tell me a little bit more about Habitat for Humanity, we're about like 7 minutes maybe.
Okay.
On that tape.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if we
didn't really finish.
Right. I think we kind of went on a tangent. So yeah. So it's a nonprofit development company, so to speak, organization,
and the houses are built from volunteers. It's people who have volunteered to build these houses. You have the Collegiate Challenge, college students from all over that have
so they gamified this process.
They donate their spring break and they spend it building habitat houses. So 1 week you'll have someone from Ohio State, and the next week you'll have someone from UConn. All over that.
Carter.
Yes.
Whoa.
So it's,
Carter. That's amazing.
It is amazing.
I had no idea that. I saw Carter, right? But I didn't know that he's part of it all. It makes a lot of sense now. So, are there other nonprofit development organizations?
So not that I can necessarily speak on that I don't know of, but SHIP helps with, SHIP is a housing that helps with down payment towards home ownership.
Okay.
SHIP. It goes right.
Interesting. All right.
Right. So, that's something that we have in county, which helps.
Okay.
But
I think that might be a solution, really.
Yeah.
A nonprofit development organizations. Now, I'll tell you this: 3D printed houses. Oh my God, what a solution! Right. I am telling you, these things are built like within 24 hours by like 2 people. It takes 2 people to operate a 3D printer, a concrete 3D printer, and they are now. So the 3D printer is about. I've looked into this with my friend. In a 3D printer that prints 16 by 16 feet. I think that's kind of like where I'm at right now.
I think it's perfect.
It costs, I think, $160,000. But once you acquire that printer, your only cost is concrete and impact fees.
Yeah.
But that could be an interesting angle, right? To have a nonprofit development organization,
yes,
that just has 3D printers and just prints out these affordable houses.
I think it's perfect.
Huh. I think we might have found a solution.
I think we
Jennifer.
Cheers.
Perfect.
Yes, we found the solution.
And I think this is a great way to end all of the podcasts, right? Talk
3D,
about our problem. You vent a bit.
And then talk about the problem and how we're going to fix it. Right?
Yes.
3D printing.
I like that.
I love it.
Technology.
Now we just need a concrete company, someone that is willing to pour the slabs for minimal to no fee, right?
Right. Or somebody to help us acquire the 3D printer for $160,000.
Maybe there's a grant somewhere.
There could be a grant.
There could be.
Huh.
I'm serious.
Really interesting.
Yeah. I think we should look into that. There might be something that could help you pay for that printer.
Yeah. The only thing that we would have to pay for is the foundation. Somebody has to come out, pour the foundation.
That's why you need a cement company.
Yes,
concrete company.
You're right.
And if you can find a concrete cement company,
but it'd be interesting if you're a nonprofit, then you're enticing them to
exactly.
That's a tax write-off, isn't it?
It's a tax write-off, and it puts their business on all the advertising.
Right.
That is that house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Huh.
I think we figured it out.
Yeah. All right. Excellent. A first guest. Then what a guest.
Let me know when you get that 3D printer.
I will let you know.